Hello, unique couples, community, and everyone who is watching, joining us. We are so excited to have you here for another Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. So if you are here live with us, go ahead. You know what to do. Hashtag Live Squad. Go ahead and put that in the chat. And of course, if you're catching the replay, hashtag replay. We just love to have you here with us and to be able to share. And of course, we love hearing your stories. You know, we're all about those unique couples, unique experiences that people have, and we love sharing them because it's all about building stronger couples, healthier marriages, and happier families. And guess what? It all starts with you. So, hence, our theme for today is being you. And we have the wonderful Monetta Smith, who is all about discovering and embracing you, beautiful you in all forms and ways. And of course, it does not just relate to women. Okay, so we're happy to have Monetta here with us all the way from Dallas, Texas. So say hello. Let me see your countries in the chat. Where you're watching from, put it in the comments. Yeah, I should see lots and lots of USA, and I should definitely see 242, the Bahamas representing all of our Caribbean people. Let's go ahead. And we have new countries joining each and every day, and we're so excited. If you have not register to be a part of our Unique Couples Marriage Club. The link is in the description. Go ahead. You are missing out on half of your marriage if you are not in the Unique Couples Marriage Club because everything is happening there. You need to be a part of the Unique Couples Marriage Club. We are on Unique Couples Marriage Club version 2.0. So you want to definitely be a part of that. And so, you know, it's September, you know, this is suicide prevention, you know, everything starts with being an individual. So today we're excited about Monetta coming to share just about being authentically you, just being you as a person, as who you are, who God created you in all of your wonder, glory. And of course, you know, we all have those little tiny bits of issues that we have to deal with. But even with them, our flaws, we can still be you. And we're going to learn more about that as the conversation continues. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. If we don't get to them now, we will definitely get to them later. Thanks for joining us, Kathy, Gia. Thanks for joining us, Julie. All of you who are joining us, thank you so much. And then remember to share, right? Share, because the help you give might be someone who is close to you, someone who you will meet in the future. You never know. That person could also be a help to you later. So share to show that you are supporting healthy marriages. That was a lot, Monetta. How are you? Tell our viewers.
You are professional. I am doing well. Thank you for this opportunity to chat. Thank you.
Yes, love it, love it. You know, we're having our being me, being you conference, and I just want to let everyone know before I forget that the link is in the description. You have to register to join it. You will get, this is just a tip of the iceberg of what you will get, and we're so happy to come and share with you. But our conference is coming up, and you want to be a part of that. So click that link in the description and register to be a part of it. So, Monetta, all the way from Dallas, Texas, and you're here with us. You have been with us before in our private group, and I know you shared about, you know, your book and about Till Death Do Us Part, and we'll learn more about that later. But yeah, share your story with us. Let us know. Tell our audience, viewing audience, and those who are listening, who are you? And yeah, like,
Oh wow.
who
So
are
let
you?
me think of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
short version of
Yes.
who I am. So I am Monetta Smith, currently residing in the Dallas Metroplex. I moved here from a smaller town called Texarkana, which is considered too two states in one city. So you
Mm.
have Texarkana, Texas, and then you literally cross the street, which is called State Line, and you can be in Texarkana, Arkansas. So I
Okay.
have been in the Dallas Metroplex for, it will be 5 years in November. And when you talk about discovering, embracing, loving, and being who you were created to be, literally life changed for me. I moved to the Dallas Metroplex in 2017. My husband passed away in 2015. So I moved to the Metroplex as a start over for me and my daughter at that time, just wanting newness. And I literally had to discover being me all over again because life as I knew it had completely changed. So, in the process of all of that discovering, I pursued um, my purpose and my passion and just who God called me to be outside of what I had known. So, I've become a life coach. As Linda said, I wrote a book after my husband passed away entitled Till Death Do Us Part because I wanted to, although I wasn't married any longer, having journeyed through marriage and it ending in my husband's death, I wanted to help other couples to understand ministry, and we have the responsibility to walk that thing out until
Yep.
one of us passes away. And we all know, with all of you who are married, you know that it's work
Mm-hmm.
every single day, and we have work to do. We have, I say in the book, we have homework to do every single day, and we should never get comfortable, never get complacent in your marriage. I don't care how long you've been married, you keep it fresh. And so I write all about that until death do us part, because I believe that it's exactly what it says it is. We're supposed to walk it out until death do us part. So,
Yeah. So, I
yes,
mean,
that's partially who I am.
that journey was, I know, a difficult one, I could imagine, and I know you shared on it before. A difficult journey, having to deal with that, and having to deal with your daughter and raising her even after all of that. We hear about till death do us part, but we don't really want to think about the
Absolutely.
if it happens when we're still young. We're imagining we're old and gray, and yes, until death do us part, somewhere way, way in the future that we don't want to think about. But so it happened for you, like, I guess we could say, like, in your prime, like in the middle of, how long were you guys married when this happened? What was the experience like for you? I just want to touch a little on that, and then of course we are going to share on how people can definitely be them even in a marriage.
Absolutely. So, as I said, my husband passed away in 2015. He was 44 when he passed away. I believe I was 41, one or the other. But yeah, and so definitely, like you said, you don't expect at that age to lose your spouse. We were together 18 years, married 13 years when he passed away. And so my daughter was 11. Chloe was a daddy's girl solely. Like, I always tell the story that although as a mom, I was the one that pretty much did everything for her, if I came in the house, it was like, oh, mommy's home. But when dad came in, I don't care if he was gone 2 minutes or 2 hours, you would think he had been on out of town. But yeah, so definitely life changed. I mean, big change. And it was kind of challenge, or it was challenging, because not only do I have a daughter, and she was 11 at the time, but Chloe has special needs. She was born at 26 weeks gestation, so she was a preemie, and she had some challenges and some things that happened because of that premature birth. So she has cerebral palsy, and having to go from a two parent home where we both you know, contributed to caring for our daughter, and then having to not only become a widow, but now a
Mm.
single mom, and having to learn how to navigate both of those spaces was extremely challenging, on top of taking the leap of faith and relocating to a place where I have no family. There's no family here. I literally took a leap of faith, but I knew that in order to fully discover, embrace, love, and be who I was created to be, that I had to make those life changes. And so here we are, 5 years, almost 5 years later.
Wow. So you left family, you
Hmm.
left the security of having all of that to move to a new place where you knew you wouldn't necessarily have that support at the beginning, but you were willing to take that chance. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that's something too, with us being who we need to be and being ourselves. Sometimes we do have to take that leap. We have to have that faith. We have to make changes. It might be a move, a great giant move. It might be, doing things that we would have never considered. But in the end, we can look and see that it was the decision that was needed and was the right decision at that time and even later. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
I mean,
you
I
made
would
that
say
move.
definitely in most cases, in order for us to fully discover who we are, we have to be willing to become uncomfortable. We have to be willing to get out of the comfort zone. So if I had stayed where I was surrounded by family, surrounded by familiarity, then so many of the things that I have experienced in the last 5 years, I wouldn't have experienced, because I would have still been in that box,
Yeah.
in that comfort zone, and not willing to spread my wings. And so, yes, there will be some major things that you will probably have to do in order to move to the next dimension in who you are. And a lot of times also we have to get to that place of discovering by being willing to take ourselves out of those familiar places, from around those familiar people, because a lot of times we don't always have the influence that we need to have in order to soar. You know,
Mm,
we
yeah.
tend to stick around where we know people are saying what we want them to say, supporting us in the ways that we want them to support us. But when you take a leap of faith and you're really trying to discover more about yourself and your journey, you tend to be around people who are pushing you, who are inspiring you, who are influencing you to go places that you've never gone, to experience things that you've never experienced. And then you get the opportunity to see others who are where you're wanting to go, and you see what that looks like, what it takes for you to get there. And it takes getting out of your comfort zone, period.
Yep. Like growth happens outside of that comfort zone. Greatness
Absolutely.
happens outside of that comfort zone. So if you are feeling comfortable and you think, oh, this is it, I have it made, you're not growing. You're not growing. You're not allowing yourself, like Monetta said, to reach your full potential if you don't have those little, scared feelings or uncertainty or feeling pushed or pulled to be more and do more and show up more if you just stay comfortable. And comfortable is so nice. It's so nice and warm and, comfortable. But
Mhm.
nothing happens there except you know, sometimes dreams go to die there in comfort.
Well, actually, I would say sometimes comfortable gets uncomfortable. It gets
Ooh,
boring because, I mean, like you said, you're stuck. Like, you don't necessarily have to do a lot in that comfort zone
mhm.
because you're familiar in that space. You know what's on the left, you know what's on the right, you know what's ahead. You like all the things. So after a while, I mean, it becomes mundane.
Yep.
And so if you're not willing to get out of that little space, then eventually, like you said, you die in that place.
The box is just this comes like closing in. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, sometimes you feel it and it becomes uncomfortable, but For most people, they just stay in that box and live there
Yeah,
until it's too late. But we don't want to do that. And that's why we're having this conversation, being you. How do you
absolutely.
show up and be you? So Monetta,
Absolutely.
um, how were you being you in your marriage? And
So
go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. Were you being you? Let's take this piece at a time. Were you being you in your marriage, where you're showing up as authentically you in your in your marriage, or did you find yourself um pulling back from who you are, stripping away, or just conforming to whatever this relationship was?
So I would definitely say I was being me as far as what I knew of me at that time. At the time that I was married, I was working full time. I was, like I said, a mom, of course, a wife. My husband and I were doing full time ministry. And then also just, being who I was as a friend, a sister, all the things that I was. And I've always been, I'm a people person and I am a giver. And so I tend to give all of myself to all that I am and all that I do. And so I will say, although I was being me,
Mhm.
I also feel like, in a sense, I lost me because when you're giving, you're constantly giving to everything and everybody. You tend to lose yourself. You lose what we're supposed to have from the beginning, and that's the ability and the willingness to self care. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, if
yes.
I don't take care of me, if I don't make sure that I'm doing the things that are necessary to keep me filled up in order to pour out into all the things that I am, then I tend to, and we tend to lose ourselves. So after my husband passed away, and even in times whenever, I was in that process, I found myself almost feeling depleted
Mhm.
because I'm pouring out so much in ministry. I'm pouring out. I was a supervisor on my job. I was an office manager. So being in leadership on the job, being in leadership in ministry, having to be a wife, going home, after working as I did and taking care of home, taking care of my daughter, like all of that can weigh on you. And if you don't have a strategy, if you don't have a plan in place, okay, once a month, I'm going to steal away and just make it a Monetta day, or,
Mhm.
whoever you are. But you have to have strategies in place so that you can properly be who you are, but then also so that you can give your full self to whatever it is and whoever it is that you are responsible for. And so it's important that we self-care. I want to make sure that we talk about that we self-care. Do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure you are taking care of you. So yes, I
Yeah.
was being me, but also at times I felt like I was losing me.
Okay, okay, definitely. Self-care is important. I know Vita would always tell me, I remember early in our marriage, he'd be like, hey, you have to love you first before you could love us. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, what this dude talking about?
Yeah.
But I was always just giving,
Hmm.
and putting their needs first, and didn't really think about mine, or my needs would be like an afterthought. And so of course, that doesn't spell good for any relationship, because you have to
Absolutely.
be able to fill your cup first and serve from
Absolutely.
your saucer, and from the overflow. Because if you're just giving everything you have and you're not replenishing, actually, if you're just giving everything you have, soon you'll run out, and then there'll be resentment and all of that. So,
Absolutely.
in our marriages, we can still be us. And self care doesn't mean that, hey, you have to go to the spa, right? It could just be taking time out to listen to some music, or to relax, or just,
Absolutely.
to read a book, or doing something that gives you and brings you pleasure, and is giving to you, like refueling you, right? Okay. So,
Absolutely.
we talked about being you in a marriage, and you said you kind of like, yeah, I guess it was like a 80-20 for you. What about what about, we'd say, as a widower, how have you shown up, or have you shown up being you? And then what would you say to other persons who find themselves, without their spouse now, and it's like so many years ahead of you.
So, becoming a widower, I remember in 2017, God spoke to me and he said to me, and this was so huge because he allowed me to minister a message, and the message was it had to happen. And
Mm,
what God said to me was, for so many years, you were known. My husband's name was Cleo. For so many years, you were known as Cleo's wife because he was a minister. He was a assistant pastor. He was a well-known musician, producer of music. He was all of these things. And because we did everything together, and being in ministry as well, most people, because they knew him, they knew me, but instead of them knowing me as Monetta, they knew me as Cleo's wife. So what God
mm,
said to me after his transition is he had to transition in order for you to become fully who I created you to be. So now God said, so now I am giving you your own identity. You were known as Cleo's wife. Now you're going to be known as Monetta, who I've called Monetta to be. And so in that, I had to discover who I was. I had to discover beyond what I knew to where who I needed to be for where God was taking me, going forward. And
yeah.
so as a widow, I sat, for 5 of the 7 years that it's been, and I worked on discovering, what that would look like. So in
Mhm.
the move, here I am. I took this great leap of faith, but now I'm here. So what do I do? I thought I was going to go back into the career field in which I was working, which was in the medical field. But now I'm a single mom. It's just me and Chloe, and I have no family here. So I literally had to even readjust as far as that was concerned, because
Mhm.
now I couldn't work a 8 to 5, because who's going to take care of Chloe while,
Yeah.
so yes, life changed, and I had to um embrace the fact that literally life has changed. Like, you're literally going to have to make these adjustments. Trust God like you've never trusted God
Mhm.
before, because now you're out here in the street. You're out here in the street, and it's like, okay, what are you going to do? And so, listen, if you ever, and I pray that no one that's listening, I pray that you never have this experience, but if you do, I am here to tell you that you will make it through. God will sustain you, He will strengthen you, He will give you peace. But just know that whatever you need to do in the healing process, do that. If you need therapy, get therapy. If you need counseling, get
Yeah.
counseling. Whatever you need to do to heal effectively. Because what you don't want to do is, we go through a process of grief, but you don't want grief to overtake you. You don't
Yeah.
want to be bound by the spirit of grief. And so sometimes that can happen if we don't properly self-care. The self-care can't stop now that your life has changed, but you have to continue to take care of yourself, because if you have children like me, my daughter needed me. So I
Yeah.
couldn't be overtaken by the spirit of grief. I had to, you know, walk through what I needed to walk through so that I could be whole for my daughter.
Definitely. So ladies, and those of you who are or find yourself as a widow, know that, hey, self-care, like Monetta said, is still important, and you don't want that spirit to kind of just stay over you where you're in that for so long. Everyone has their own journey, but do get the help. Get the help if you need it. Get the help.
Absolutely.
Grief affects, people differently. Get the help. But it's not all about just us ladies. I know we're here, ladies talking. Men, we want to talk to you as well. Okay, so all of you um, widowers out there, know that, hey, you have to take care of yourself too, man. You have
Absolutely.
to find who you are and find your purpose and know your purpose and be able to um, enjoy as much as you can now life after your spouse is gone. So,
Absolutely.
in your marriage, be you, take time on and care for you. When you're not married, if you divorced or you're a widow or widower, make sure you're taking time to be you as well, right? And so let's talk about the singles now. So we have persons, because I think now you're coming to the process now where you are single and looking for love. I'm gonna try to phrase that. But what about the singles? How can persons who are single show up and be them, like be
So,
you? Hmm.
because this journey of singleness, I will be totally honest and say it has been a struggle for me. It's been a struggle for me because I know that I am a wife, and being in this space again has really been like, I look around like, okay, God, it's been 7 years. Like, am I still, I mean, what's up, God? But I will say I've grown so much. I've grown so much. And when you talk about discovering, embracing, loving, and being who you are, that's where God spoke to me in this whole process. When I started my business, which is called Beautiful, which is BEYOUTFUL, VIP. And what that means is I empower women, especially, to be you. Understand that who you are at your core, the
Hmm.
authentic, unique you that God created is what makes you beautiful. It's
Yes.
not the hair, it's not the clothes, it's not makeup, it's not anything that is external, but it's when you are willing to seek God for your purpose. Why am I here? What am I in the earth to do? And then you tap into that and you be who you are. Embrace, as Linda said earlier, we all have flaws. We all have things that make us imperfect, which we nobody was perfect but God.
Yeah.
So being embracing those imperfections, embracing those things that make us uniquely us, and then loving you, loving yourself exactly as you are. So what if you don't have, ladies, we like to have certain things and look certain ways. So what
Hmm.
if you don't have that? You know, guys, even like she said, we're talking to you as well. Embrace and love you exactly as you are, understanding that you being willing to do so, me being willing to embrace my imperfections, me being willing to love myself despite my imperfections is what makes me beautiful. How I show up, how I give, how I um encourage and empower other people. That's what makes us beautiful. Don't ever allow what man says is beautiful to be your definition of beautiful, because all of us are beautiful in our own way. All of us, there are things about Linda that makes her beautiful. There are things about me that makes me beautiful, and the truth is Linda's going to have people who are drawn to her because of her beauty. And again, I'm not talking about looks. And then there are going to be people who are drawn to me because of my beauty, what we exude externally from internally. So
Yes.
beauty starts within and then it exudes outward. And so when we understand that that's what makes us beautiful, being me, being who I was created to be unapologetically. Because
Yes.
here's what I know: you don't have to like what other people like. I don't care what the latest fad is. I don't care what everybody else is doing. The majority says that we should wear this, or we should go here, or we should do this. But
Hmm.
how about you be the one that is willing to stand in a room of thousands of people and say, I don't like that, or I don't agree with that, and be totally fine in standing in the fact that you
Yep.
don't agree or that you don't like, because it's okay. It's okay for you to be you no matter what everybody else is doing or what everybody else is saying. And when you're able to do that, guys, that's what makes you beautiful. Like, oh my God, you
Ooh,
will learn that when you're willing to do that, that after a while, when you do that enough, people will start to do what you are standing up being bold
yep.
enough to do. So then it makes you a trend setter. So you begin to set trends, things that nobody else was doing, you decided to do. And now guess what? Everybody wants to do what you
Hmm.
have done, because you understand that I don't care what everybody else is doing. I want to do this and be totally okay with that.
Yes, definitely. Be able to stand up um, for what you believe and believing in yourself, which is definitely key. And for so many persons that we talk to and counsel and mentor, um, and then just even with observation and research, we realize that a lot of people have that missing. They start relationship, they come as a couple, but they never got the individual sorted out. Like they didn't get
Mm,
that part worked out, and then they come and they come and they are a couple, then they have family and they have children, and then you have a whole lot of problems because we never sorted out that first person, that being me, that being you, that you need to sort out, that make sure that you are whole before you
absolutely.
attach to someone else and carry your
Absolutely.
baggage.
And I would like to say this, Linda, whenever, because I was married and my husband passed away, something God showed me in this process is, don't think because you are a widow that there's not work to be done within,
Mm,
as you believe God for another relationship. And so God showed me. He showed me things that, okay, my husband may have dealt with that, but you need to deal with that now so that the next person doesn't have to deal with that.
ooh,
So when you can, in the process, do a self evaluation, a self examination, and say, although my spouse passed away, not, I didn't have a breakup, but I still can look in the mirror and say, I need to work on me.
yep.
And so I've done that. I've taken the time to make sure that I get some things in check so that whenever God does send the next person, I will have healed some areas. I will have been made whole in some areas so that I'm ready. So for me in the single state, although it's been a struggle, I understand that God has kept me here because I'm still building you. I'm still maturing you. I'm still, growing you. I'm making sure that when the time comes that you are actually ready. Because guess what has happened? I've dated, and in some of those dating situations, in relationships, I've still learned some things about myself that still needed some healing or still needed to be addressed. So when you can do that, when you can look in the mirror, because that's what happens in this process. God puts a mirror up before you,
Yep.
because a lot of times we like to, even in the dating process, we like to blame the other people
Yeah.
for, the situations and circumstances not working in our favor. But the truth is, you haven't healed in some areas, you haven't let go. And that was one of the things that I made sure, that I'm not going into dating situations comparing these people to my husband, or thinking that they should do this a certain way because that's what he did. And so there's a lot of work that has to be done in this process. And I don't ever want anybody to feel like, just because it's a death, that you don't need to be delivered in some areas, or heal in a lot of areas other than the spouse's death.
Mm-hmm. It's like letting your next pay for your ex, and that is definitely not.
Absolutely.
Whether it's like you said, a
Absolutely.
separation because of death or separation because of a divorce or breakup, we still need to take the time to work on ourselves. And so, yeah, so join the marriage club. Unique Couples Marriage Club, those of you. So if you're a widow or widower and you're now on to a new relationship, don't think that you still don't have to work on you. Don't think that you don't still have to work on your relationship um, with your current spouse, because sometimes, like you said, Monetta, we're making those comparisons with our previous to who we
Absolutely.
have now, and we know that comparison is the the thief of all joy. So we definitely don't need that to happen. So we're wrapping up, loving this conversation, but I want everyone to know that we are going to have some more discussion. So you need to join us for our Being You conference that we have coming up. The link is in the description. Go ahead and register to join it. You don't want to miss it. Okay. We are going to definitely take you to another level in being authentically you. Okay. So we're going to help you do that. So go ahead, register to be a part of that um, conference, be a part of that to really take yourself, your relationship, and who you are going to be um, to another level. Get out of that comfort zone. So, Monetta,
Yeah.
what advice would you give? We're wrapping up. What advice would you give to, I guess, persons who are married, maybe they're a widow, widower, or single? What advice would you give to persons who need to? You want to tell them, be you.
So, the advice that I would give to those of you who are married, of course, as I said earlier, your responsibility is to your spouse, but also you want to make sure that you're giving your full self to your spouse.
Mhm,
Because a lot of times, even as I said a moment ago, we like to shift blame. We like to point out what the other person is at fault about instead of looking in the mirror and saying, how did I contribute to whatever the issues are? So, as far as being you, make sure that each of you make sure that you're pouring in to each other, but also make sure you're pouring in to yourselves, because the only way to fully be you is to make sure you're pouring into yourself. And that means when it comes to the word of God, when it comes to self-care, all of that, let me say it like
mhm.
this: make sure your life is balanced. Make sure your life is balanced
Yeah.
as an individual. And then you guys come together, and how can we balance this thing as a couple, as a family? And so it's important that you guys do that. If you get my book, I have in there, and I'm sure this is something that Linda and Vito talk about on their platform, is, you have to take time to have conversations. Set that up to where you guys are strategic about that. Have conversations ever so often, saying, where are we in this process? How are
Mhm,
you doing? How are you feeling? What are you thinking? Maybe do it quarterly or monthly, whatever works best for your schedule. But make sure you're having conversations. Make sure as a couple that you have an open door policy for communication, because we can't just assume, because we're smiling and we're interacting with each other, that everything's okay, because we're all good at hiding a lot of times what actually is on our minds, or may be of concern for us. So have the tough communications. Make sure for your wife, for your husband, that they can come to you and talk to you about anything. You should be each other's best friend, to where
yep.
you can show up and have conversations even about the tough things. I talk about that in the book. My husband and I had that. We had an open door policy, because what you don't want is for your husband or your wife to be talking to everybody else and not talking to you. So
Mhm,
being you means, as we said, making sure that you're taking care of you, but also making sure that you guys are taking care of each other. From a widow perspective, make sure that you are healing effectively. Don't just jump into a relationship after becoming a widow thinking that you're going to just move on and bury, all of the things that you probably hadn't dealt with if you
mhm,
do that. But take the time to properly navigate that transition. And then for those of you who are single, I say this with everything in me. Although it's been a struggle for me, just because like I said, I know who I am, and I know that I am a wife. I know that I will marry again, but there's a process. There is a
Yes.
purpose, but there's also a process. But stay single. That's what I want to say. Stay single until you have properly navigated singleness. It's okay, ladies. It's okay, men, to be single for a period of time, because guess what? I know you're going to get to know you. You're going to get to embrace everything about you that probably at some point in your journey you didn't like, or that you had an issue with. Now you get to embrace those things and say, I'm okay with that. I'm
Yeah.
okay with this part of me. And then, by the time God is ready to bless you, you're ready. So stay single until you're ready. Stay single until you're whole. Stay single until you're no longer insecure. Stay single until you know that you can be an asset and not a liability in somebody's life.
Oh, definitely, because we definitely want to be assets, right? We definitely
Absolutely.
want to be assets. It's okay to be single.
Absolutely.
Work
Absolutely.
on you and wait for that right person. It's okay because you don't want to be a part of the growing statistic that is showing that we have more divorces happening than marriages now. Okay, first it was,
Absolutely.
half, and now there are more persons getting divorced than who actually married. So you don't want to be a
It's
part of that statistic. You want to make sure that when you do it, you do it right and you do it to last. Okay? And
absolutely.
like we
Absolutely.
always say, help is always available. You do not have to do it alone. Help is always available. Get the help that you need. It is there for you. Okay? So those of you who are married, remember to join us in the Unique Couples Marriage Club. Um, go ahead and join us there. 2.0 version. You don't want to miss it. Okay. Taking your relationship to the next level where you get motivation, inspiration, and transformation for your marriage. So, Monetta, share with us your books. I don't know. I believe you have a copyright. I hope you have something for us to see.
Yes, I
I think Tell
do.
Death Do His
I do.
Part and your devotional. Go ahead. Yes.
So, first of all, here is Till Death Do Us Part. It is my first book, written and released in 2019. And as I talked about a little bit earlier, I was inspired to write this book to help couples, whether they are currently married, for those of you who maybe you're engaged to be married. I want people to understand the seriousness of the vow, the seriousness of the covenant of marriage. We don't ever want anyone to walk into marriage lightly, because you have, when you make this vow, and I want you to not just repeat the vow, but I want you to internalize the vow so that you understand the covenant that you're making. Because the truth of the matter is, at some point in the journey, you're going to experience some of what's stated in the vow. So you may come to the part that says, for richer or for poor, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health. What are you going to do? Are you really willing to go through whatever it is that comes up? Can you handle it? And so that's how serious marriage is, that you really need to think about before you say yes. The wedding ring, the engagement ring, it's beautiful. The big wedding, all of that is wonderful. But when the first argument comes, are you going to be ready to get a divorce? So that's what Till Death Do Us Part is about. And then this year in May, just a couple months ago, I released a 21-day devotional, and it's entitled Empowering You to Discover, Embrace, Love, and Be You. It's a 21-day devotional for women, helping you to self-care, helping you
Yep.
to make sure that you're good, so that you can make sure that all of your loved ones and everything and everybody that you're responsible for is good. But so many ladies have been blessed, because, ladies, let's be honest. As Linda said earlier, we give and we give and we give and we
Yeah.
give. and we don't really take care of ourselves like we need to. So that's where I come in. I'm pushing you to make sure you're good. I'm pushing you to make sure that you show up authentically and unapologetically you. But in order for you to do that, there's some things that you have to do. So in this devotional for 21 days, I'm helping you to discover, to embrace, to love, and to be who you were created to be.
Awesome, awesome. And how can they get a copy of the books? You can let us know, and then how they can reach out to you on social media.
Okay, so I have a website, monettasmith.com. Both books are on the website. If you notice, I have on a t-shirt. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says Discover, Embrace, Love, and Be You. That is one of my t-shirts. I have two more. All three are on the website, but you can go to the website. All of my products, all of my services, everything is on the website. I am on Instagram, Beautiful VIP, which is BEYOUTFUL VIP, all one word. I am on Twitter. On Twitter, I am Lady Mo Smith, I believe. Lady Mo, yeah. It's not Beautiful VIP, but and that's so sad. I'm not on Twitter a whole lot, so I don't remember exactly. But I also have a Beautiful page on Facebook as well. And it is the same as the Instagram, which is Beautiful VIP. They're exactly the same. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can reach me on any of those platforms.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Monetta, for sharing. We will definitely um, hear more. So, those of you who are haven't clicked that link yet to register to be a part of our Being You conference, go ahead and click that link and join us for the conference. Those of you who are married, who are watching and you're not a part of the Unique Couples Marriage Club, go ahead, click the link and join us for that as well. Because guess what? Help is always available, and we need community, we need support when we are growing and wanting to get out of our comfort zone, because it's just so easy to be surrounded by negative and to see all of the negative things happening, especially with marriages. But we're creating that community where you have that positive injection of motivation, inspiration, and transformation that you will see happening not only in the lives of other couples, but in your life as well, as you do the daily tips and spa activities that we give you each day, and the things, the communication tools of what to say, when to say, how to say it when you're relating to your spouse. So if you're not a part of our club, go ahead, click the link and join us there, and we will definitely see you as you take your relationship to another level and do something every day to make your relationship better. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, thank you. Love you all. We love what we're doing. Yes, Avita wasn't here, so I'm so used to saying that. Like we love, we love our marriage and what's happening with it, and we love you all, and we want y'all to enjoy a healthy marriage as well, because we are building stronger couples, healthier marriages, and happier families. And guess what? It all starts with you being you as that healthy individual. See you all. Love you. Bye.